Is that red wine on your desk, James?
It's a full fat Coke, Mark.
It looks very much like red wine. This is a question. Favourite takeaway in America? Favourite takeout, I should say. Chick-fil-A for me.
Chick-fil-A for me too, no contest.
Yeah, I actually.
Except on Sundays. They're shut on Sundays.
Yeah.
What's the Chinese one? Remind me, in the service station.
Panda Express.
Panda, yeah, there you go. We've got.
We digress. Let's talk about Trump. Yeah, let's get into it. This is Trump 100. Welcome to day 3. I'm Mark Stone.
I'm James Matthews.
And I'm Martha Kelner.
It's 10 to 7 p.m. in Washington, D.C. I have spent the day, a second day, on the trot outside the prison in the U.S. Capitol. Some of the January 6 rioters, they're being released elsewhere, Philadelphia and so on. In Washington, when I left, they were still waiting. Martha, where are you right now?
I'm still in Eagle Pass in Texas, James, but earlier today I crossed over the border into Mexico to the town called Piedra Negras, less than half a mile from Texas. And I went there to talk to people who've had their chance of a new life turned upside down in an instant by these new Donald Trump immigration policies.
Yeah, I just saw your report on the TV, Martha, and if you're listening and you haven't seen it, you can catch it on our app or on our website. But first, I wanted to start today here in Washington at the Washington National Cathedral, an event that happens every day, the day after inauguration. There is a service. It is a service of unity, a service of prayer, kind of trying to bring the country together after a brutal election campaign, and most are, but this was perhaps more than most. Picture the scene, the great and the good in the cathedral, this incredible building in northwest Washington. On front row, Donald Trump, his vice president, his family all around him, his cabinet, and then cue the Bishop of Washington in the pulpit with quite a few words for one man.
In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now.
Harsh words indeed from somebody who, not in the bear pit, the political bear pit of Washington, D.C., which I think probably resonates more, and upbraiding the new president.
Yeah, it was a real reminder that behind the euphoria that there is from those who so dearly wanted Donald Trump to win, and so he did. There are many people, whether they be migrants, whether they be from the LGBTQ plus community, who feel now to be really very worried. Not just worried about their identity, James, but I think worried about how others might now feel emboldened, frankly, to be awful to them. It was powerful, I thought, indeed. And also, what was so remarkable, and you can only really get this by watching the images, was how those people that she was talking to, Trump and the team around him, how they reacted. Whether it was Donald Trump looking uncomfortable, Eric Trump behind him shaking his head, Tiffany Trump to the left of Eric looking awkward. All of the Trump family, they kind of couldn't believe they were being berated here, and they knew they were live on television as well.
Yeah, it was a handbrake turn amidst all this early adulation. He was asked about it. Said to the press, I didn't think it was a good service. No, they could do much better. There's been a lot of talk about vintage Trump, and that's exactly what that was. I was in the company of Donald Trump's big supporters at the Washington jail. Lauren Boebert, the Freedom Caucus, they turned up.
This is the jail where people are being released from because they've been impounded.
Or not released, which is why they were there. Interestingly, you get, in fact, they were there in the crowd, people who'd been released from jails in Philadelphia who'd come to join the supporters and families outside Washington. Excuse me, mate. We're from Sky News.
Sky News.
Yeah, tell me your story. You were free last night, were you?
Yeah, I was in Philadelphia with Will, and they came along. The guards came along at about 11 o'clock and banged on my cell door with a flashlight. Pack up! You're getting out of here. And here we are.
What did you think of that?
I thought it was incredible. I didn't expect to get sprung out like a gangster. Trump sprung us out like a gangster.
But there are still something like 15 inside, and that is frustrating them. It's frustrating people like Elon Musk. He's on X, trying to rally the campaign to get them out. When I left, they were still inside. By the time you listen to this, they may be out. But quite the scene. You've got this bus waiting for the big release signs on the windows of this bus, "No Man Left Behind." That's a bus for people who've nowhere to go. It will take them to a halfway house, assuming they get released in due course. So it's a bit of a party scene. There's much music. Stuart Rhodes turned up, the founder of the Oath Keepers, the far-right militia. I mean, he's one of the two key individuals behind January the 6th. A militia member orchestrated, according to his prosecutors, orchestrated much of the riot, the alleged insurrection that went on. And he's in the middle of this crowd on the phone. Looks quite a gentle soul. He's about 5'6", one of the two enemies of the state that were at the heart of the insurrection, and one of the individuals now, of course, set free. It raises many questions about many things, particularly about the rule of law in this country. It suits Donald Trump to set these people free, completes his narrative that it wasn't a crime, it was a witch hunt.
And in the news conference just now, Trump was asked directly, is there a place, given that you're releasing the Proud Boys, for example, the members of the Proud Boys, is there a place, he was asked, for them in the political conversation now? His answer was, we will have to wait and see. James, give us the context of who the Proud Boys are.
The Proud Boys are a far-right extremist militia. Enrique Tarrio is the founder of that group.
And he's out now.
He's out now, yeah. One of the two key players along with Rhodes. They both were given 18 years and 22-year sentences for seditious conspiracy, essentially an effort to overthrow the government. We all remember it was a rampaging mob through the Capitol, January the 6th, and Trump told the crowd, fight like hell. If you don't fight like hell, you won't have a country anymore. So 1,500 and more were charged, many sent to jail. Trump, of course, was in the frame. He was accused of playing a key role in encouraging the insurrection, and that was one of his 4 criminal cases. One of the 4 dropped because he won the election, and America doesn't prosecute sitting presidents.
No, we were talking about them being far right. One of the big talking points today, the fallout from yesterday, has been Elon Musk and whether or not that was a Nazi salute that he gave at the Capital One arena after the inauguration. He sort of pumped his chest and then put his hand up in what many people are interpreting as a Nazi salute. Others are saying, no, it's like a "my heart goes out to you" symbol. What do you think?
Elon Musk knows the media. Elon Musk will have known the kind of fallout and the kind of reaction that would prompt.
Plausible deniability for him, maybe. Martha, what do you reckon?
I didn't watch this live because I've kind of had my head in the border and being Mexico. And I thought, is this just one of those occasions where it's an unfortunate freeze frame, an unfortunate screen grab? And I watched it and I was like, oh no, it either is deliberate or it's a deeply unfortunate movement that he's done, because it does look like a Nazi salute. I don't know. Only Elon Musk knows what was going through his head at that moment. But it's interesting you speak about Elon Musk's family, because I had a conversation recently with his dad, Errol, which was all about, Elon Musk's panic about declining birth rates. And Errol Musk had some very problematic views about just which countries should be having more kids, and should certain countries not be having, more kids because they're lesser than, in his words. So it is, it's interesting where Elon Musk's come from, but clearly, only he knows what he meant to do in that moment.
It wasn't the YMCA, whatever it was. Tell me, Martha, we are in the coldest city on the planet. How warm is it where you are?
Do you know what? Funny you should mention this, James, because I came expecting it to be, 30 degrees here, and it's actually just above freezing. So I am also wrapped up. I know I'm not going to get any sympathy from you.
You certainly will not.
-7 at the White House today.
You won't believe the kids are off school today because it's so cold, according to people here. Apparently, it only gets this cold once every few years, and the kids are off school. And Chick-fil-A shut at 9 p.m. last night because of the inclement weather, as they called it.
Now that is a national emergency. Send in the troops.
Yeah.
But Martha, tell us, you're on the other side of the country. You're on the border. observing the impact of one of Donald Trump's executive orders. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting we speak so much about Donald Trump, but actually seeing people impacted almost immediately by these policies, these executive orders that he's introduced, particularly on immigration. I was in Piedra Negra, as I mentioned before, which is just on the other side of the southern border from the town of Eagle Pass in Texas. Piedra Negra is where a lot of people end up while their asylum applications are being processed. And there are 3 migrant shelters in the town, which obviously is a big number. I went to 2 of them. It was in the Salvation Army migrant shelter that I met a woman named Erica from Guatemala. And she'd been living in this migrant shelter. They pay 50 pesos a day to be there. It's around $2. And she'd been sharing this very small, cramped room with bunk beds, sharing a mattress with her 10-year-old son for an entire year while she waited for her asylum application to be processed. She finally had an appointment on the books for 2 weeks' time from now. And yesterday she gets an email 16 minutes after Donald Trump became president to say that her appointment had been cancelled. And she was so upset as she was telling this story. I mean, you can't even imagine how upset she must be right now, because I think it just felt so tantalizingly close, that dream of being in America. And she was fleeing violence and, economic strife to be here, to be on the edge of her dream of going to America, and all that's just pulled from underneath her so quickly.
And she was doing it, by the book. She was doing it properly.
Yeah, that's what she said. She said, I've thought, should I cross the river? Because that's what a lot of people do to try and get in illegally. They cross the Rio Grande River, this very perilous journey. And she said, I thought about doing that. And my sons, she had a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old. She said, my sons said, no, you've got to have faith, Mum. The appointment will come through. And that's when she really broke down, as she was explaining, having to tell her sons that now this appointment that they'd been telling her to wait for and hold on for, Mum, that wasn't happening anymore. And it's not just her. Everyone in this entire shelter had been waiting for their applications to be processed, and now none of them have appointments at all. And I think what's interesting is I was speaking to the person who runs the Salvation Army in Piedra Negra, and he was saying that some people, he had 70 people in the shelter on the night before the inauguration. He now has 40 people in the shelter, and he said 30 of them left in order to try and get in some other way, as he put it. He was suggesting that some of them might now pay these groups, these gangs who charge, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 per person to try and cross the border illegally now.
What a mess. I mean, every American president has tried to solve the immigration problem, and they have all failed. Donald Trump is now trying to do it, the hard way, as in he is being very hard, because he says he needs to fix it. And he has some support for that. Of course he does. He won largely, very, very predominantly on the immigration issue. And what struck me traveling around the country before the election is that many immigrants who have come here legally, who've gone through the process, who've done the process that the person you met didn't quite manage to do, they are fed up as well, because they're saying, look, we did it legally and now suddenly people are just walking across the border. It is such a mess. And we will see how Donald Trump manages to solve it, but it's going to be very painful for very many people. Look, we need to go quite soon, but a couple of things that you might have missed that happened, and so much is happening every day at the moment, but in that Donald Trump news conference, a couple of other, it was quick fire, lots of different things, but he confirmed that he had discussed Ukraine with Xi Jinping. We've got to get it settled. Xi Jinping, the Chinese president, we've got to get it settled, he said. We both have a lot of power. He confirmed that he will meet Putin at any time he wants. So there is a moment to look forward to. He also said that the European Union is effectively ripping off America. They don't take our cars. They don't buy our cars. Why not? They should. And he was talking about tariffs that should go onto Europe as a result. And then lastly, he confirmed that, yes, he had got a letter from the outgoing president, Joe Biden. He found it in the Resolute desk, and it said, apparently, Donald Trump said it was a little bit of an inspirational type letter. Joy, do a good job. How important the job is. I appreciated the letter. So said Donald Trump.
Yeah, I bet it did.
He said,
If that's what it said, that wasn't the sentiment.
he said he'll release it, so we may get to see it. That'll be for tomorrow.
All right, that's it for today. If you've liked what you've heard, please do click the follow button wherever you're listening. And remember, if you have a question about Donald Trump, US politics, or anything else, you can now email us on trump100@sky.uk. We would love to hear from you. That's it for now. See you on day 4 of Trump 100.
See you then.
Bye for now.